Welcome to Bold Talk series, where creativity, leadership, ideas, innovation come together. My name is Epi Ludvik, and today I have a privilege to have a short one-on-one conversation with Simon Hill, founder and CEO of Wazoku. Simon, great seeing you. Welcome to our Bold Talk series. How are you?
Good, Epi. Good to see you too, and thanks for having me.
Good to see you, man. It's been a long time, so it's really nice to have this conversation together. Last time we met each other was like where? Was it South Africa in person?
I think it might have been in South Africa, yeah. Cape Town, Joburg, one of those, exactly.
Time flies. So here we are now in a digital version. Simon, take us back to the very beginning. What was the spark that made you believe innovation needed its own marketplace? And how did that idea evolve into Wazoku that is today?
Yeah, all right. We're going to take that journey back through time, are we? Good. Back to the days when I had less gray hair or no gray hair and a hope and a dream. The reality is, and I still think there's a long way to go on this, that innovation is about creating new value, right? And it should be the most efficient creator of new value. People are good at this. We're good at coming up with ideas. We're good at stimulating new value. But as businesses and as process, we're not brilliant at taking those things and actually coalescing them into that value-based outcome or value-based output, right? And so I think that the profession of innovation has a long way to go to still become a truly recognized profession and capability. And there's a whole skills element to this. And that there is a huge part for technology and people to play alongside technology in how we create a system that really can help to accelerate value effectively into the world that needs it more than ever, right? So it's a big, hairy mission that's creating a profession and a discipline and a software-based company, but really a human-based company at the heart of all of that. You use the word marketplace. I think that's probably quite a good one, or ecosystem, maybe another, that is helping to accelerate value in complex systems more effectively and more tangibly than perhaps has otherwise been done.
Now, what was the toughest moment in those early days of building Wazoku for you? And how it shaped the way that is today and you lead today?
I mean, as I said in my previous answer, I think we're building a new category in many ways. Innovation's been around since forever, but as a discipline, as a profession that's understood inside organizations, it's still finding its feet, right? Is it a centralized capability? Is it a decentralized capability? Is it a function? Is it a C-level role? Is it not a C-level role? Like, there's so much work to be done to define what good looks like for organization type A, B, C, D, and E, and how you build all of that. And so building a new category and a new profession from the ground up isn't necessarily something that I thought I was doing when I first started this business, right? I didn't really think that was what we were doing. And so there's been lots of moments of tough challenges, right? Lots of figuring out what's the business model, which part of this problem are we taking on? How much of it do you have to take on in order to be successful and be effective? And it became quite obvious quite early that the answer probably was all of it. And therefore you have to be both an entrepreneur, a business builder, a thought leader, and extraordinarily resilient in terms of doing all of those things into a market that's not well understood by anybody, even though many people think that they do know what it is. Right? And so there's lots of bits of that, but every day was a roller coaster, and every day to a degree still is a bit of a roller coaster in the world that, that is legitimately building a new market and a new class of enterprise software, a new profession for the world, et cetera, et cetera.
Now, Wazoku is built on the principle of opening innovation to everyone. Can you share a moment when an unexpected idea from an unlikely source completely shifted the direction of a project or organization?
Yeah, I mean, the good thing is that in the world of crowdsourcing, that's a near daily occurrence, right? So there's thousands and thousands of those examples. And I spoke earlier about this innate belief in the problem solving and value creating capability of human beings. Inside large companies, we tend to like to create these strong job functions and call you a finance person or an innovation person or a marketing person. Yet in the real world, we solve problems all day, every day in a myriad of different areas that are not defined by such strong job description and functional boundaries. So in open innovation land, 80% of the challenges we solve are solved by non-domain experts and often quite far away from those domain areas of expertise. There's several nice ones. You know us quite well, but we do innovation for the likes of NASA and, large government organizations. But there was one I was working on recently for the International Rescue Committee. They are a third sector nonprofit that are helping some of the most vulnerable people on planet Earth, refugees, right? There's lots of displaced people. And one of the problems we were working on was how to help make moments of vulnerability for women in refugee camp situations more safe, right? There's lots of bad things happen in the darkness or the uncertainty to women in particular in those areas. And so we're looking at a solution to that problem, which couldn't be highly technical, right? We live in a world where AI seems to be the solution to everything, but in this world, it's not AI, it's not hard tech, it's not anything, right? It's got to be cheap, cheerful, simple, safe, et cetera, right? And so an amazing engineer in the area of light innovation and light technology, who's a part of this amazing network that we have in the crowd, stepped forward with his expertise, borrowing from examples that he's got, lighting cathedrals and royal palaces in Italy, but now bringing it to this very humanitarian space that came up with a solution that I think is going to save millions and millions of lives and is extraordinarily simple. In many ways, it's a little bit like if you have kids, they have those snap bands and things that they can snap onto their hands, or these glow sticks that you can snap, was a more environmentally friendly, more easy to produce local solution that could be embedded in all kinds of different infrastructures that would make it easier to light up things at the times that you need them and last for many months or years as well, which they needed to do. And so, a super interesting problem. I think everyone thought it was going to be more technical. Everyone thought it was going to be more complicated. And actually for pennies and cents, we're able to reuse something that already existed and come up with an amazing solution to something that will have greater reach and greater application than just that one problem area that we spoke to, even though that itself is millions of people and, will hopefully make a huge impact in the world. But there's thousands of these examples, Epi, as you
Yeah,
know.
I can imagine. I mean, you've been in early days, and from the beginning of where the crowdsourcing and open innovation was as a real practice for the heads of innovation, you also done like an acquisition of InnoCentive and Idea Drop. A lot of the times when we do the acquisitions, obviously the whole idea is for growth. And then there's got to be a lot of due diligence. Is there anything in particular that you can share what you should look for when people do the mergers and acquisitions? I always ask this question to people who do mergers and acquisition because there's got to be so many angles to approach it in terms of the aim for the growth that you do in the acquisition.
Yeah, I mean, look, we've bought 5 companies, which is fairly unusual for a business of our size in multiple jurisdictions as well. One in the US, we're a UK headquartered business. One in the US, one in the UK, one in Germany, one in Denmark, and one in Colombia. So I've got experience around the world. I don't think I'm missing any there, but I might be.
Amazing.
Experience around the world of doing this, right? And the good, the bad, and the ugly of all of that as well. I think it's a whole profession unto itself, right? But there's definitely a playbook that you can work to. The whole essence of this is to try and de-risk it as much as you possibly can, right? In most of those cases, we were able to structure a partnership before doing any deal work. So we already knew each other. We knew that the businesses, at least on a partnership level, would work together and could drive value. And we knew that we could work as people together in a cultural sense as well. And so I think that would probably be one area of expertise is you feel like you're going in blind to a lot of these deals, but if you can find ways to figure out what it will be like working together on the other side, that's a huge part of the conundrum, right? A huge part of the structure. It's obviously not the entirety of it. I'm very happy outside of a 15-minute podcast to dig deeper into any of those areas, but yeah, that's probably one.
Yeah, well, that's probably a conversation that we can have like offline or perhaps like in a next longer format if we do one of those. But when you look now, what does that look like? So you have this AI doing a lot of things that before when we started in crowdsourcing week, I remember it was almost impossible. Now with the AI, you have so many things that you can do that literally it's like is beginning to replace a lot of that human input. Where do you see the future of the crowdsourced innovation with an AI age today?
Yeah, it's actually good timing for that question. I just finished a piece of analysis and research, which we'll be sharing probably next week, looking at a data set that compares human-based crowd-sourced insights and ideas, pure AI-based, and then hybrid ones. And we had a series of evaluators that were, again, human-based experts and synthetic-based experts, AI-based experts, evaluate those. And the conclusion out of that is where I think we are at for the next little while, at least, which is you need both to be most effective. Right. So the challenge of innovation land is that we have to deal, as I said earlier, in hugely complex systems. It's very hard for one person to get their head around that hugely complex system. Teams of people that don't usually come together find it hard to collaborate and interact in those hugely complex systems because they don't really understand each other's worlds very well. AI is quite good at that from a data perspective. It's quite good at seeing around complex corners and helping to map and spot data points and trends and opportunities that perhaps a disparate group of people that are not naturally connected by a hierarchy or a set of sort of corporate structures would find very, very difficult. But at the end of the day, people are still really good at coming up with novel new ideas. People know what the context of the organization or the need is in a way that's very hard to teach a retrieval augmented generative AI that's basically just adding an assumption to the previous assumption to do, right? They're quite good in defined bounds, but innovation exists in the net new bound. And so the result shows that the human outperforms the AI, but the human plus the AI outperforms the human, right? And so that's the general consensus that I think we are at. And I think that's where we are at from a innovation perspective and many other areas, which is you need AI in the loop, but you need expert humans. You need people to sense check, logic tech, but actually to do the ideation and the innovation work in the realms of net new, right? And so I'm quite positive about this. We've been leading at the forefront of this from a human crowd, synthetic crowd, how to blend and mix the two for speed, for value creation, for data analysis. But ultimately, innovation's job is to accelerate the path to value, and people plus machine are the best version of that, not machine alone, not people alone.
Yeah, yeah, good way to put it. Now, you read many books, Simon. What is one book that helped you guide your and shape the way how you think about innovation?
So I'm going to be a little bit cheeky
Yeah,
here, Epi.
leadership or whatever.
Yeah, no, I'm going to be a little bit cheeky here and actually self-promote a little bit. So I have read you're right, I've read loads of books. I look around me, I've got bookshelves and bookshelves here. There's loads of good innovation books. There's loads of good ones, right? I think that, most of the well-known books in our space are worth picking up and reading. I am a bit of a student of the world of Eric von Hippel and the work that he does out of MIT. But I think the area that's super weak from an innovation perspective, even though thousands and thousands of words have been written about it, is the measurement of value creation and the value pipeline from an innovation perspective, right? So how do I know which bets to place and which are going to create the best value for the best efficiency of spend from an organizational perspective? And so having gone through all the literature, I think there's a huge gaping hole there. And therefore, next month, I have published a book, which will come out in September, which is addressing that exact question, right? What is the expected value of an idea? What is the expected value of my innovation portfolio? And how can I come up with a simple way of aligning innovation and finance inside an organization on what that value pipeline looks like from the point that it's, an idea through to the point that it's realized value. So I know that wasn't your question. And as I said, there's loads of good books out there, but I think there's a big gap in this space on value and
What's the
expected
name
value.
of your book?
The book is called Expected Value. It's not available yet, but it will be available in mid-September.
Oh, nice. Well, let us know. We'll love to promote on our side too, and
Great,
I'll
thank you.
link here as well. Now, Simon, I always ask this as the last question to my guests in my podcast, and that is about the word bold. What does that mean to you personally?
To be bold, I mean, if you're in this space, you have to be bold, Epi. You know that, right? It's to think big, to challenge convention, and to dare to think differently. I think the world of open innovation challenges many of the normal conventions of what it means to be a subject matter expert, what it means to have a job inside an organization versus going, showcase your talents openly and only get paid on success, right? That's a whole different way of thinking in many ways. That skills can lie outside of the resume, and that you shouldn't necessarily judge the book of the cover just by the resume itself is evidentially based. And so, yeah, everything we do is bold, right? It's to dare to think differently and to dare to push the boundaries and challenge people on what is accepted conventional wisdom in a different way. And I feel like that's my daily struggle in this.
Well said. Simon, I wish you all the great successes and a great success in publishing the book. Until we see again, take care, be great, and be bold always. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Epi.
Thank you.